The story of Soweto is inextricably linked to that of apartheid, a dark and torrid system of segregation and discrimination that plagued South Africa from 1948 to the early 90s. I've got so much to see, and I'm told to start at the Hector Pieterson Memorial Museum to learn how deeply one day in June 1976 has had a huge impact on the future of modern-day South Africa. This is the Soweto Uprisings Uncovered. My name is Derek Riedle, and I've just touched down in Soweto, a rich, vibrant, and historic township in the province of Gauteng, South Africa. It's impossible to tell the story of Soweto without examining that of apartheid. June 16th was the first day of what became known as the Soweto Uprising. I've got so much to see. I'm told to start at the Hector Pieterson Memorial Museum.
I am here with Nasibo
Lamini.
How long have you worked here at the museum?
Well, essentially I've been doing tours for about 15 years, straight out of school, and I've just turned it into a career. I like meeting people from all over the world and kind of like telling the story of South Africa. It's a passion of mine.
So explain to me where we are, explain to me why there's a museum here.
So basically we are at the Hector Pieterson Museum that was set up to kind of capture the story of what happened on the 16th of June in 1976, where young people of Soweto decided to go on a march to kind of, voice out their dissatisfaction at the fact that the apartheid regime had introduced Afrikaans as a medium of instruction in school. So essentially it meant that they would have had to switch from doing the subjects in English to doing them strictly in Afrikaans. So that would have been biology, maths, science, history, and it was a language that they did not understand.
So take me back to June 16th. What happened that day?
So the students organized and mobilized themselves, collected their peers from different high schools as they went along, and they actually got to a high school down the road here in this area where they were meant to collect more of their peers, and unfortunately they were confronted by the police. The police tried to get the students to disperse, but the students would not go anywhere. They threw tear gas canisters amongst the students. Still, the students would not go anywhere, and they started firing live ammunition into the students, killing a couple of students on that one fateful day. And of course, the youngest to have died is in the form of the young Hector Pieterson.
Why do we know the name Hector Pieterson so much?
Because of a picture that was captured by Sam Zima, who was a photographer at the time, working for a local newspaper. And this picture, not only made its way to local media, but it made its way to international media. And it is kind of the picture that drew attention. The world said, hey, wait a minute, what is actually going on here? Yeah.
Describe to me what we see in the famous photograph.
You have Mbuyisa who can be seen in the picture carrying the young Hector Pieterson, and he just happened to be there when Hector Pieterson was shot, so he picked him up with the hope of getting him medical attention. And when they got to that particular clinic, unfortunately the young Hector Pieterson was declared dead. And Mbuyisa then became like an image of the courage that was displayed by those young students. And his story is that he became targeted by the apartheid regime, because he had just become a national hero by that act alone, and he had to flee the country. And running right next to them is Hector Pieterson's sister, who also happened to be there at that point. And you know, she's still around, and she's just a wonderful woman that is basically able to narrate, you know, what happened on that day without any form of anger. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, for me it kind of speaks volumes in terms of, you know, where South Africa is, in terms of how we've been able to forgive as well.
Can you show me around a little bit? Let's walk the grounds. Shall we? Head this way.
In a confrontation near Orlando High, 13-year-old Hector Pieterson was killed, and through the photograph by Sam Nzima, he became an icon of the uprising. It's a significant image that has moved the world and continues to affect the families of those connected to it to this day. I'm on my way to meet some Sowetans connected to this famous photograph of this infamous day.
Mbuyisa is or was my son, but he is not a hero in my culture. Picking up Hector is not an act of heroism. It was his job as a brother. If he left him on the ground and somebody saw him jumping over Hector, he would never be able to live here. So that's Mbuyisa's mother speaking about what went on that day and how, you know, it was a heroic act, but at the same time, it wasn't. And it was just a part of what needs to be done when you're living in a community like this. Now, I'm here not just for an hour, for a day. I'm spending the next month and a bit here in Soweto. So we're gonna see all the high points that you need to see, but we're gonna get underneath the stories that everybody knows. And one of those is the mystery of what happened to Mbuyisa. And we're lucky to have his nephew, Sofiso, here to talk to us about the mystery of what went on and really get under the surface of the story. Hello.
Hey, Derek.
How you doing? We do this?
Yes.
We do. And look,
you're learning fast.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm not very good.
You're becoming a local very fast.
Well, Sofiso, thank you so much for visiting me here at this hallowed ground. Tell me about your uncle.
My uncle was in that iconic picture, carrying Hector Pieterson on that iconic day or that fateful day of 1976, June 16. He's now called a hero because he carried Hector Pieterson. However, on that day he was arrested by the security police, and he eventually escaped, but then went into exile. And we have lost trace of him ever since. I mean, we have traced him to certain places like Botswana as a family, but from Botswana, as we traced him, the trail went cold. And he's been missing ever since.
Wow. So he did Mbuyisa stay around for a while before he went into exile?
He did, but at that time it was difficult because a lot of the students were either called activists or enemies of the state, and thus had to go into exile.
So he went into exile, and then you've lost touch. So it really becomes a mystery. What are some of the stories about what happened to him?
The one story was that he went to, he escaped and went to Botswana. He lived there for a while. The story that we picked up as a family is that he then started a family there. He's got children there, and there are traces of his family. However, we still haven't found his kids.
What do you believe happened?
So far, the hottest lead we have is a video of a person in Canada who resembles my uncle exactly. However, apparently this person has a mental illness and has forgotten who he is and his roots. However, he has a sense of being from South Africa. However, his mind state is still stuck in apartheid days and thinks should he acknowledge that he's South African, he'll be taken back to South Africa and obviously then face trial. However, most of my family feel he looks exactly like Mbuyisa. So that's the mystery now.
Whereabouts in Canada, do you know?
I think it's Toronto.
Okay.
However, it was a news piece. We've traced the news organization and the journalist who eventually led us to this person. However, we haven't gone as a family.
Gotcha. So after this, we're going to go to the 1976 memorial.
Yep.
What am I going to see there?
Well, you're going to see a lot about what happened on that day. It will give you a sense of what apartheid was, and as a result, what it's caused for the country and its people.
So, is there somebody I should see when I'm up there?
Yeah. So as you go up there, you'll get to see my Aunt Gwen, who is Mbuyisa's sister. She will tell you quite a bit about Mbuyisa, who he was. You'll meet also Aunt Mbuyisa, who was a cousin of Mbuyisa, and they'll speak fondly about growing up with him, but they'll also give you a sense of what Soweto is and the culture of Soweto.
But I'm also fortunate to hear that Antoinette, who was Hector's sister,
Yep.
and who is pictured running
That iconic
alongside
picture.
your uncle.
Yeah.
So we've got all sides of the photo to.
She'll give you quite a bit of insight, especially about that day. I mean that picture alone is very iconic in terms of how it shows the expression or the feeling of the day.
Yeah.
But someone like Antoinette, like you rightfully say, is right there.
Yeah.
So she'll give you even more. I mean, she's an elder to me as well. So enjoy the conversation and suck it in, take everything in.
Certainly will.
Yep.
Certainly will. Thank you, Mbuyisa.
Thank you, Derek.
I'm so fortunate to not only understand this historic day, but meet Hector Pieterson's sister, Ma Antoinette. It's already been an amazing day, but it's only getting better.